Hello again. You are about to see item 4 on this videotape. This commentary was made in December 1986. Indian families returning to Old Crow in June after the annual muskrat hunt on Old Crow Flats. Those with larger boats would usually bring others who had only canvas-covered scows. Notice all the people aboard, the dogs, the variety of equipment, including the 2 homemade ratting canoes on the roof of the launch. There's another family will land a little way downstream. Chief Peter Moses coming in, Neil McDonald, Charlie Linklater, and others. Long and narrow, good for operating in swift water. My next door neighbor was Joseph Kikovichik, commonly called Big Joe because of his stature. Here he is making a fishnet. Big Joe was a lay reader at the local Anglican church. There had been 3 Joes at Old Crow just before my arrival. The Big Joe already mentioned here, Holy Joe, the recently departed Anglican missionary, and Little Joe, the diminutive native trader Joe Nitro. Here are 2 Indians with a lucky catch of salmon, as they were not plentiful. The man on the left is carrying a choice king salmon, while the other is carrying 2 poorer quality fish called dog salmon. This is the king salmon. Here is Mary Lazarus carrying her baby with the support of a beautifully beaded baby strap, for which these Indian women were famous. Mary was the wife of Lazarus Peter Charlie, son of Peter Charlie, so named to be distinguished from the son of Peter's brother John. Such naming was a custom at Old Crow. Here is Charlie Peter Charlie, brother of Lazarus, painting window frames of his log cabin. This is Rowena Moses scraping a moose skin to make it pliable, one of the processes in tanning a hide the native way. Notice the log schoolhouse in the background, one-room structure that was not used during my 2-year stay at Old Crow because there was no teacher. Old Caroline Moses picking up driftwood for her stove. The old people tried to be independent as long as they could. This is Balaam Judy delivering a load of wood for the NC Company trader. Eliza Steamboat sitting in her cabin doorway enjoying a smoke. Children of the community whose parents did not leave Old Crow to participate in the muskrat hunt. Here are Martha Kendi, Joanne Najudley, and others who had been upstream picking berries. Martha's husband John brought them home. Swallows on the radio antenna wire above the church steeple. These birds were very shy. They seemed to always fly away whenever the camera was pointed at them. They fed on mosquitoes, which were very plentiful. Local residents having what was called a potlatch to celebrate Dominion Day 1946. There's Big Joe saying grace. Moosehead soup. Notice that the men sit down first. This is Chief Peter Moses, Order of the British Empire. Some parishioners starting to renovate the parish hall by removing the sod roof. Others dressing split poles for use in the new roof. Even little Norman doing his part. Some of them didn't like the evil eye and were putting dust in my camera lens. There's Robert Bruce cutting a corner log. Here are some of the men carrying one of the heavy roof logs. Chief Peter Moses in the center and Neil MacDonald on his left. Neil was the son of Archdeacon MacDonald, the famous translator. There he is. That's Neil at the top. They're quite proficient in the way they handle work like this. There's Robert Bruce again. Here they're putting those split logs or split poles on the roof. They chinked the poles with moss, covered them with flattened cardboard cartons, then put rolled roofing material on top. Here is a group of the workers one evening about 10 o'clock having a lunch put on by the Women's Auxiliary. Don't be surprised at the sun still being up at 10 o'clock. You must realize that they have 24 hours daylight there in the summertime. Elias Quadlatchy standing up. See a closer view of him. Amos Porcupine sitting on his left. Julius Kendi and Alfred Peter Charlie on his right. Here are the Reverend Julius Kendi and his wife Barsis, a fine couple. Close-up of Julius. A glimpse of the beautiful stole made with beads sewn to white caribou skin, made by Barsis for Julius. The church altar hangings. Stained glass window, said to have been shipped in many years before, in syrup to prevent breakage. These altar hangings were made with beads sewn to linen, which was in turn sewn to white caribou skin. This was beads sewed directly to moose skin. This was the lectern hanging. Another view of the swallows. We were glad to see them around because they helped control the scourge of mosquitoes. There's Big Joe and the Reverend Julius. This, unfortunately for Julius, was the funeral of his grandson, his only grandson. Some caribou swimming in the Old Crow River. At this point my camera magazine jammed, and yet I had all kinds of these caribou around me. Here is Big Myra using a hatchet on some caribou ribs. Later you will see her holding a porcupine. It was a surprise to me when she held it up. These are some of the members of the Women's Auxiliary butchering and hanging up to dry my share of meat from a caribou hunt I participated in. This work was done as a way of saying thank you to me for nursing them during a terrible outbreak of influenza. Everyone in the village but myself was stricken. I made rounds morning and night, and when needed, I gave them sulfa tablets if needed, dependent on their temperature and immediate temperature history. I remember being amazed at some of the temperatures recorded, many reaching to 102 degrees Fahrenheit and some even up to 104, and wondering if they could survive. They all did. In this scene, Annie Quadlachi is skinning the front quarter of a caribou. Liza Steamboat, I'm going to light up her pipe. Her husband was Steamboat Robert. He got that nickname Steamboat because he was the first of the Old Crow natives to travel to the Arctic Ocean and see a steamboat many years before, when the whalers had a base on Herschel Island. When the work was finished, the corporal's wife, Mrs. E.A. Kirk, provided some pilot biscuits, hardtack to you, butter, jam, and tea. You saw the women saying thank you in their native tongue, Sitchi, Sitchi. This is old Margaret Black Fox being helped to launch her canoe so that she can visit her fishnet in front of the village. We think she was the oldest resident at that time. There she's going to whack it over the head to kill it. They don't say how many fish did you catch today, it's how many fish did you kill. Here's Margaret with her catch for that day. She takes it home, fillets it, hangs it to dry. The fat will be used right away. Now observe a quick look at her 3-compartment hovel. A quick view of the John Newcon family camp at Old Crow. This is John's daughter, Jessie Thomas, chopping wood. John Newcon is stirring some dog food. This is believed to be John's daughter-in-law and his grandchild. Note the baby's bonnet. close-up of John having a smoke. John, his family, and a few others made their home most of the year at Whitestone, a small collection of log cabins about 250 miles or more farther up the Porcupine River. This is Winston Moses eating a piece of bannock. Now the summer is coming to an end, and the John Newcon family are packing up to go home. This is John Newcon, the old man of the family. They live some 250 miles farther upstream at a village called Whitestone. They'll hunt and fish all the way home, getting there just before freeze-up. People of the village waving goodbye to them.